Hi everyone! Today I'm going to do something a bit different. I've seen a lot of 90s and noughties throwbacks recently, like people's old Christmas gifts and things, so I thought I'd kind of join in with that, but give it a bit of a twist. So I'm going to tell you some stories about what I was like when I was 10 years old. So at school I was just one of the quiet, hard-working kids. I had two best friends, their names were Jasmine and Fiona, and my teacher's name was Mrs. Ritchie. My favourite subjects were creative writing and drama, because although everybody thought I was the quiet kid, I wasn't that quiet when I got up on a stage. My favourite author at the time was Jacqueline Wilson, and I think that was a good choice really. Jacqueline Wilson writes children's books, but she doesn't kind of dumb down things for kids. If there's a divorce in the family, if somebody's died, she tackles those issues straight on. And there's not many people who are willing to do that for 10-year-olds. Sometimes they're scared that the parents are going to overreact and nobody's going to buy their books. Jacqueline Wilson really gave me an education, and I thought she was the coolest person ever. And when I was doing creative writing, I'd try and make my writing as edgy as Jacqueline Wilson. It never quite worked out, but I tried. I really did. I've wrote down a few things from my favourite TV series here. The first one I have is My Parents Are Aliens. I would describe the plotline to you, but it pretty much says it in the title there. There were some kids, and their parents were aliens. They'd been adopted out the children's home and were living with a couple of adults who were actually aliens in disguise. And these aliens had no clue about human life. It was a comedy series and the kids just had to teach them how to be normal. Other things I watched included Recess, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and keeping with the witch theme because I was obsessed with witches, The Worst Witch. In the UK we had a programme called Top of the Pops, and Top of the Pops was on every Friday night, and it just counted down the top 40 and told us who was Top of the Pops. And this was very exciting to watch. They had performances from the bands there, and anybody who was anybody went on Top of the Pops. Bearing in mind this was a time before there was like music channels and stuff, this was a chance to see music videos, your favourite stars. It was the thing to watch, and I loved Top of the Pops. And because of Top of the Pops, I was really into pop music. The cheesier the better. So my favourite bands were the Spice Girls, Bewitched, and I liked a little bit of S Club 7 too, but I was not so big into them. So what does a 10-year-old Kate want to be in the world? Well, of course she's wanting to be a pop star, or a movie star, or maybe even an author, the next Jacqueline Wilson. I was ambitious. I can tell from the things that I've written down for hobbies that I am a 90s kid. My hobbies were writing stories, that's fairly normal, and Pokemon. I was quite sporty when I was 10 years old. I played netball, I was on the netball team. I was also on a competitive swimming team, and I was dancing too. Extracurricular activities all round for this girl. I was barely in the house sometimes. In honour of this 90s throwback, I've also written down a list of some of the things that I grew up with that don't really exist now. Saturday morning children's TV. It's not really a thing anymore, but when I was a kid, I only had 5 channels on the TV, and only 2 of them played really good things in the morning for the kids. At the weekends, the thing I miss about Saturday morning children's TV is that for a while in the UK, that was developing a lot of TV presenters. That's where they got the chance to be silly and goofy, and it didn't matter so much if they messed up. So there's people like Fern Cotton, Holly Willoughby, Philip Schofield. These are big names in the UK, and they all started on children's TV. There's a long list of people that started on children's TV, and there just isn't that sort of opportunity now to grow and develop as a presenter. Every channel wanted to have the best shows, and everybody was trying to find the amazing programming that everybody wanted to watch. If you went into school on Monday, you had to be tuned into the right channel at the weekend to be in on all the cool conversations. If there'd been something really cool on ITV, but your dad had been watching Channel 4, you were missing out. You had nothing to talk about with your friends. If we wanted to enter a competition on TV, we had a few options. We could call in, but then we'd have to ask our parents' permission and it might cost us money. We could email, but not so many people had email. Or we had to send in a postcard with our entry. And what they'd have to do in order to get all the postcard entries to the competition is keep the competition open for a whole week. And if you really wanted that prize, the suspense would kill you. Nowadays they could run a competition on Twitter or have things closed in a couple of hours. It just wasn't the same back then. So that was my little 90s nostalgia look back. What things do you remember of being a 10-year-old, and what things do you remember growing up as a child? Let me know down below. Thanks guys! Cheerio!